Good morning, everybody. So hopefully I'm going to be able to run you through how you can look to more securely handle moving data between your own on-premise environments and between clouds, whether that's just a single tenant or going across multiple. So my name is Michael. I work as a solutions engineer, and I work for a company called Fortra. You've probably never heard of us. Don't worry, you wouldn't be alone in that. We used to be called Help Systems, very recently had a rebrand, but there's a very, very good chance that at least one of our solutions is probably already being run within your organization today. We primarily focus around data security and infrastructure protection, as well as IT management. One of the key insights that I get as a solution engineer is being able to speak with customers within businesses ranging from, where their roles range from all sorts. I get to understand some of the challenges they have, and one of the key ones that they constantly come up to us with is how they can get information moved across the cloud and around the cloud. So these are some of the areas which I look to be able to kind of run through. So it's no surprise that the cloud itself has been growing. For the past 16 years, it's been growing. It's not slowing down massively anytime soon, and in fact, the word cloud could be quite scary to quite a lot of you here. It's still not solved. There's still a lot of challenges when it comes to the cloud, still a lot of unknowns. But the benefits to it, they can't be ignored. The cloud itself, it allows massive amounts of flexibility. It allows you to leverage new technology, which you probably weren't able to do within your own systems before. There's huge, huge benefits to it, and as time goes on, it is looking ever more likely that organizations are going to move to kind of a hybrid model, where they are going to adopt the cloud. They're going to make use of it. So we're not going to be able to run away from it, unfortunately. Now, the types of information stored in the cloud range massively. You could have your entire organization running in the cloud today. So you could have all of your business information already up there. But the information itself needs to be handled, needs to be maintained. You've still got your regulations you need to adhere to. You've still got your compliance processes, your IT policies that have to be applied to this cloud environment. And cloud itself, in its nature, is able to be connected into from all sorts. Interoperability is a massive, massive benefit to the cloud itself. Currently, about 94 to 96% of all organizations have adopted some cloud technology in their business. And this can range for all sorts. Bear in mind, when I talk of the cloud, I'm not just talking about AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. I'm talking about all types of cloud services. This could be just software, which is running in the cloud as a SaaS. You could be looking at things like SharePoint, OneDrive, as very, very classic examples, Dropbox. Everyone's probably already got an account for these already. And this information isn't stored locally, it's stored somewhere else. About 48% of all business information is currently hosted up in the cloud. 48%. And in a recent poll that was made, only about 32% of businesses think that that information stored there is their responsibility. That's a very alarming figure, considering that the information that you've got up in these cloud environments potentially is being ignored a little bit within the organization, could be very scary. So, as mentioned, the cloud itself can range through all sorts. It could be integrating into SaaS models, into platforms. The type of information that is hosted up into the cloud varies massively. But data itself is probably the biggest component that you're using the cloud for. Very cheap storage options, for example. The ability to kind of make use of glacial storage, which a lot of organizations never had before for that super, super cheap kind of storage option is very appealing to businesses. Applications themselves, or a lot of organizations which we've discovered, applications are actually being migrated into the cloud. So where possible, they're either looking to move solutions which were on-premise into the cloud as either a SaaS option or just simply lifting and shifting it, trying to get that platform moved away from their local servers, pop somewhere else. Now, there are key benefits to that, but there's also a lot of challenges. There's ensuring that, first of all, you've got the capability to move that data. As businesses exist, data is the one thing which is ever growing. You never get a recession for data. There'll always be more and more information being stored. So as time goes on, it's going to become more difficult to get that information moved across. What I also mean with this as well is it doesn't necessarily have to be information going to the cloud. It could also be information from the cloud coming back to the business. And this could happen because of failed projects. Very commonly, we've seen organizations look to move too much to the cloud too quickly. It's not been suitable for their organization, so they've had to roll back a project that they've got. But regardless, there's that interface between the two areas. The hybrid model, where you've got your on-premise and the cloud, there is a communication gap there. So when it does come to data itself, really, the types of policies and processes you want to be putting against that is going to be the same as what your information is on-premise. You need to ensure that the information stored there is able to be used and communicated with other applications. As time's gone on, data isn't just being stored, it's being used. It's being used within other applications that you have in the business, whether for reporting, to enable new product functionality, all sorts. Of course, there's access rights to that information as well. Making sure you've got good policy and control to who has access to the data is extremely important and extremely valuable. All of these are kind of areas which we've kind of discussed with customers, and I think we can kind of summarize this into 4 key challenges. So we do have, of course, the movement itself, the challenge of getting that information moved from one location and put it into another. It could be extremely challenging. A lot of that information is probably not classified in any way. You probably don't know what information you've got. So being able to actually move it in the first place can be tricky, can be difficult, especially if you want to put in place policy after. You're looking to do kind of a cleanup or a kind of a workshop on what you're actually doing with that information. It can be tricky to kind of adopt that into the project. Of course, there's the control element to it. Now, a lot of cloud service providers do, of course, give you really, really good flexible control into these platforms and into these services. But when you look at SaaS models as well, especially when you've got, there's the very, very common term of ghost IT, where you've got individuals within the business essentially creating their own SaaS kind of portal accounts and then moving data around. Very tricky to manage, very difficult to kind of control and to restrict in some cases. But ensuring that they themselves put in place the levels of control is very, very important. The complexity, of course, the data itself can differ depending on what you're doing with it. It could be application data, where you're simply moving stuff from one application to another, maybe connecting a SaaS solution to your on-premise solution. It could be the actual movement of the data or the handling of that data in those environments. And then finally, of course, security. And this is always a big one. You're never going to find security gets easier. Stu mentioned in his previous presentation, he's spread thin. I think that's fair for every single one of you out here. There's going to be areas where you're taking on more and more challenges because more and more security threats are coming through. I think the statistic is something like every 31 minutes or so, a new security vulnerability is found. Like, how can you possibly battle that as a business? You can't possibly know every single vulnerability out there, but you can put in place policy, process to minimize that impact risk. So one way that we assist with these challenges at Fortra is by leveraging and making use of a managed file transfer solution. So we do offer a solution called Go Anywhere MFT, and this is specifically designed to help you manage, control, and I guess integrate your data and your workflows with that data. There's many elements to the application, be it connections into numerous protocols, whether it's on-premise services or services in the cloud. There's numerous controls to kind of bring all of that integration into one hood, essentially, one central product, one central platform. And we also offer the kind of architectural options for this as well to help you kind of deploy your own services into cloud environments or from cloud environments onto on-premise environments so that you do have a secure channel, a secure connection, which you're still managing. A couple of, I just want to kind of draw your attention to a couple of things we've got here. So unfortunately, we have created an ebook very recently around organizations giving testimonials and details of how they're handling their movement, their migration to the cloud, how they're kind of controlling it and some of the challenges that they're faced with that as well. If you do want to get a copy of that, please do meet me. I'll actually be at booth 4, so a bit of advertising there. I'll be at booth 4, but I'll be happy to kind of discuss and share that with you. And alongside that as well, I just wanted to touch on an independent kind of review of some of the managed file transfer solutions out there. And I'm happy to kind of say that GoNo MFT is definitely seen as one of the market leaders, which is something I'm extremely proud of, and I think it shows kind of the effort and the amount of development that our product team have put into the solution. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for your time, and yeah, thank you very much.